and gents, it's time first podcast of 2022. We got some Cardi B going. Let's get this show on the road. What do you say? How to podcast like a pro, because we're changing the way we do things. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bro Solo. All right, welcome to 2022, ladies and gents. I'll tell you what that solo thing is all about. Okay, so first of all, how to podcast like a pro. We've been doing this for quite some time, and I say we because, hey, it's the Business Bros, right? So it was James and I who started this almost July will be 4 years ago. For those of you who've been along the ride, I'll share a little quick story. I dragged James into this podcast space, right? He didn't want to do it, but he kind of owed me. And so I told him we're going to do this podcast thing. We're going to do it 5 days a week, and we're going to do it for 3 years. And he stuck around. He held his end of the bargain. And lately he's been going through some medical issue stuff, and he just he's not in the right headspace to be able to do this right now. So he's asked me, he's like, hey, dude, you think I could step away from this for a while? Would you be okay if I did that? Like, hell yeah, dude, go do your thing. I'll be here whenever you want to jump on. You know the link, hop in here, talk to me if you want to. If not, it's cool, completely understand. So change number one for 2022, things that are changing is it's just going to be mostly the business bro, right? So it's me going solo, going at this thing still every single day, making it happen. I took 3 weeks off. 3 weeks of literally taking off. Like I didn't do anything on my calendar. I had nothing scheduled. And it was kind of weird. I was going a little crazy, a little stir crazy here towards the end, but now it's back. Now I'm getting back into my system, into my process, into my routines, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's do this thing. All right. How to podcast like a pro. A little bit of work that I did over the 3 weeks, because, I can't really shut my brain off, was to structure this thing, right? And so in order to get this podcast rocking and rolling, it's one thing to podcast. You can podcast for fun, right? I've produced podcast shows with friends and family where we talk and do kind of some strange things, and it's fun, right? You have fun. You get to know people. You get to talk to people. No big deal. But towards the end of year 2, beginning of year 3, I started to push this more towards a business model rather than just a fun podcast. Step number 1 in this whole thing was, how do I get people to come on the show? And we've officially conquered that step, right? We've done a lot of different things. I've networked with people who are podcast agents where all they do is get guests on other shows. I've networked with people who own matchmaker.fm. These are platforms. Podvite, I think, is another one where these are platforms where you can create your own podcast profile as well as a guest profile and get people to come on your show as well as be a guest on other shows. What up, Joe? Howdy, my friend. And so, we've gotten to the point where we can get people on the podcast on a regular basis. We do a show every day, and we've gotten, we're booked out right now towards the end of March. So getting people on the podcast was step number 1, and it took us a few years to figure it out, but we got that squared away, right? Next was creating content. We used to do the show live and in person. And so we would, putting things like lower thirds, things like this, for example, right? To be able to put a banner or something, subscribe to the podcast right here on the bottom, or to put the ticker that scrolls across the bottom. Those were step ups that we had to do and learn new technology to do that. When the pandemic hit, we rolled into this StreamYard space, and it allowed us to do cool things like this directly on the show. And then as we started to monetize, creating content is cool. Editing content, not so cool, right? So when we're designing the show, there's a lot of you who decide to start a podcast, who get into content creation, and you use platforms because they're free, like Zoom, for example. And we did the same thing. Using a podcast or a platform, a video platform like Zoom was great, except after that, I had to go in. I had to add my intros, had to add my outros, had to add segments, whatever, music, anything I wanted to do in that space. And it didn't quite take as much time as I needed it to. It was taking too much time, more than I needed to, really. And so StreamYard allowed us to create something that was visually more effective. In other words, it saved us a lot of time and make it rain, baby, money, right? Money. Being able to do cool effects like this allows us to, StreamYard allows us to do cool effects like this. So we started taking things to the next level. And before I get started, I got to make sure that we always do what we do. We got to play that video intro, right? So let me make sure. Oh, I hit the video intro already. Duh. See, that's what happens when I go all alone. So anyways, we hit the video intro. Now the video intro is part of the show. And now we can get into this segment, right? And the cool thing about podcasting is you really learn to conversate and ask questions. And I think in sales and in communication in general in business, asking the right questions or asking a series of questions to finally figure out what objections are the main objections that your customer might have is a skill that you develop over time. Being able to stand behind this microphone and talk for 30 minutes, that was a skill I had to develop over time. Not saying ums and mks after every sentence. That was a skill that I had to develop over time. And now I feel I'm to the point where I'm very confident when I hop behind a mic. I can be very confident if I was to hop on a stage or have a conversation and so forth. So how do you podcast like a pro? Right? What's that next step? Okay, one thing is to get the graphics right. One thing is to get the banners and the tickers and all those things right. One thing is to have, your descriptions and your destinations. We're literally live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch right now. So those are all great tools. But what about the content itself? And I think this is where, podcasting like a pro, the way we've done it is going to be a little bit different going forward, but it's about the structure. What is it that you want to achieve in your podcast? If you're just doing it for fun, great. But if you're like me, my objective is simple. And this is something that I developed over the last 3 weeks in talking with a wife, right? What is it that I want to do? I want to get paid for helping businesses grow, plain and simple. And the thing that we do on the podcast is create content for our guests that come on the show. Because let's face it, the bottom line, the bottom line, if you're coming on the Business Bros podcast, you're coming on the show because you want to get your business out to more people so that you can get more customers and grow your business. Hands down, that's what you want to do. For the most part, 95% of people who come on the show, that is what they're trying to do. So with that in mind, how do I design my show so that I can help them achieve that? So here's what I did. I created show segment clips and I outlined the show the way we want to do it. So check this out. Let's imagine that I have my first guest. I'm going to interview myself. What up, CS? Hey, business bro, what is it that you do? This is something that StreamYard allows you to do and make things a little bit different. So, little segment clips like this.
What do you do?
What do you do? Right? Now, why play a little segment clip like that? Again, a little pro tip. See, in post edit, what ends up happening is you have a 30-minute piece of content. If you did it on Zoom or some other platform, you have a podcast episode. You have this big, long 30-minute content clip that you got to go in. And I hope I remember the word right, because Adrian, one of those videographers, Mr. Fugatti, who does a lot of my big event stuff, I think he called it cooling. But basically what it is I take this 30-minute episode and I need to take it and chop it up into small clips. And using these segments, like what do you do?
What do you do?
That changed my entire screen. So when my editor can come back and say, look, I need to break up, I need to take this content piece, this 30-minute content, I need to break it up into smaller pieces. He doesn't have to sit there and listen to the entire episode. He can scroll through and see where the screen changes to that clip. And then he knows that the next question I'm going to ask the guest is about what they do, right? What do you do? So that's going to be the question that I would ask the guest, and I'll answer it for us right now on the show. What do? We do advertising and we do marketing. That's what we do for you, the guest, the customer who comes on the show, the client who comes on the show. We want to help grow your business. And how are you going to do that? We're going to help get you in front of more people and tell them what it is you do. We're going to help you with content creation. We're going to help you with video testimonials, and we're going to help you with paid ads. Because at the end of the day, if you're not getting in front of more people and you're telling them what it is you're doing, or you're not making offers, you're not going to close business. So if we can create an episode where every single segment is a piece that is valuable, that we can turn not only from a piece of content because you were on the show, but clip it and turn it into something that is useful, generating you business, now the show gets a little more interesting. And at the same time, I'm still learning about the guest. right? The guest on the show is still answering questions. We talked about, who they are at the very beginning. What do they do, right? They're going to tell me about what they did. I can ask them a bunch of different questions in this small little segment that we can get deeper and deeper into their topic of conversation, into their industry, into what it is they do, because I'll give it to you at the end. What we want to do with this long form piece of content is help them get more business. Okay, so what's the next question I want to ask? The next question I would want to ask about this person, after I know what they do, right? I want to know about who they're talking to. That's customer acquisition, baby. That's what that is. How do you have a business. This is what you do, right? You might be very good at what you do, but how are you getting customers? And why is that important for me as a marketer, for me as a content creator? The reason why this content piece right here, this segment of customer acquisition is so important is because I need to know who is the guest ideal customer. If I'm going to create content for them and place it in front of people, I don't want to place it in front of just millions of people at random. I want to put it in front of the person who is most likely to take advantage of the offer or the product or service that client is using. And I want to know who that person is. So in this section of customer acquisition, I want to know what they've already tried. Some people might have already tried some paid ads and not had some great success. Some of them might have tried a podcast and not had some great success. Some of them might try, creating flyers or doing mailers or, shaking hands and knocking doors. I want to know what are they doing for customer acquisition? What has worked and what hasn't worked? Also, what kind of content do you already have? Because it's cool to come on the Business Bros podcast and make some content with me, to put together an episode. That is definitely fun. But there are a lot of businesses out there who've already spent money. They created great promos for their businesses that just happen to sit on their website and on their YouTube page and do nothing for them. Or they've created some nice graphics or their logos or their different things that they've already done. In this customer acquisition section, it allows me to really figure out what is it that you're doing to acquire customers? What have you tried? And how successful was that for you? Right? So I'm narrowing down some information, and you as a listener, you get to benefit from that. Because we get to really narrow down on, how did you come up with this ideal client? Why is this the person that you want to work for? Well, is there a profit margin there? Is there a reason why you're working with this guy over this guy? And having that information is vital if I'm going to create a marketing campaign that is beneficial for you as the guest who comes on the show. Oops, that's my alarm telling me to get on the podcast. All right. So after customer acquisition, we're going to move into.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
Everybody's got a problem, right? We all got problems. And that's the best part about being in business is, ironically, you're in the solution business. You are looking for the people who have the problems, right? So when we get to, what problems do you solve right here? If you can easily or simply describe to me what problem you solve, it's going to give me a lot more opportunities to think about who has this particular problem. Right. So here's the thing about advertising, especially when you get into the paid ads, right? Creating an ad for let's say a mom who has, 2 kids and drives a minivan and takes them to soccer practice, that ad is going to be completely different than the dad who has 2 kids, who drives the truck and takes the kids to baseball practice, right? Completely different. It could be the same family that you're targeting, but the ad is going to be a little bit different. So understanding the problem that you solve in the market, understanding that piece of information is going to allow me to create content specific to solve that unique individual's problem via your product or service, right? So having the clip, again, the clips are great because we're creating content all the way through. I'm going to tell you guys as we get through why I'm creating these clips and what we're going to do with them at the end. All right. So after we talk about their ideal problem,
I am looking for qualities beyond the physical.
All right. So if I know your problem, right? If I know that you have an issue, describe to me who this issue is about, right? So, let's talk about the soccer mom, right? If you had a car wash, for example, let's say you had a car wash and you came up to me, you're like, hey, I need more people to wash their cars. Well, that's kind of tough, right? Because everybody has a car, but who uses a car wash? And how am I going to make the ad interesting for a particular person to come and use that particular car wash, right? So there are a couple things that we can do in this space. And who is your ideal client? Sometimes it has to do with demographics, right? So if we're talking about a physical car wash here, the demographics could be a radius, a 5-mile radius around a particular address. It could be things like maybe this is a high-end car wash, right? So maybe we're washing cars that are maybe over $50,000 and they come in and they want hand wash stuff and they go detailed maybe, right? Or maybe it's just a regular car wash. You're just pumping cars through all day long. Whatever it is, that demographic, I need to understand who that ideal client is, because the ad that I create for the minivan is going to be different than the ad I create for the Lamborghini car wash. Completely different types of things. So who is this ideal client that you're looking for? If we know how you've been getting customers, if we know what problem you solve in the market, now we can really narrow down on those typical clients that you're looking for. You're handing me the information that I need to while in interview process on a podcast to help you generate more leads and more sales. What are some of the habits? What are the likes and the dislikes that your ideal client has? And if you've listened to a number of different episodes that we've had on the podcast, this section right here, this section where we're talking about the ideal client, the weird thing about it is this ideal client doesn't necessarily have to be the one that makes you the most money, but at the end of the day, it's the one that you wake up to and you're like, yes, this is the person that I want to serve. This type of individual, this is the ideal client that I want to work with every single day. Because I promise you this, if you have clients that you do not want to work with, you're going to hate your job, you're going to hate your business, you're not going to want to work in it, you're going to avoid it at every single turn. So you want to make sure that you pick those ideal clients that you're looking for, and we're going to help you find them as we work through this process one question at a time in our interview, right? So let's see. So what do we do, right? We've identified, what is it that you do in your business? What is your product or service? We've talked about how you're getting customers. We talk about the problems that you solve and who your ideal customer is. And for those of you who want a podcast like a pro, man, let's say, for example, you had something that you're selling individually, like us, for example, we're doing paid ads. So in order for me to make this a little bit different, I can always drop a commercial just like this. You need more customers? Worried about how you're going to pay your next bill? You need sales. I get it. Starting a business is tough. And one of the most difficult things to do in your business is to get customers. How do you get in front of those people? How do you get in front of your ideal customer? You do it through paid ads. Let us create the content for you, place it in front of the audience so that you get the work and your business does not fail. Failure is not an option. You have to succeed. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting more customers. Are you ready to grow your business? www.businessbros.biz. No more excuses. You know what you need to do. You need to get more customers. www.businessbros.biz so you can get started getting new customers today. Boom. I don't know. That guy was a little handsome looking. I don't know. A little biased there. Just a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Just kidding. All right, ladies and gents, let's keep going. So the ability for you to drop in stuff like that. Mind you, this is all live, right? This is not in post-production. I don't have to spend any time editing any of this content afterwards. It's already on YouTube. It's already on Twitter. It's already on Facebook. The long form content is already there. You don't have to go and upload to individual platforms. It's already done for you. You have segments in here. Maybe you do different types of shows that maybe you're doing a different type of interview, whatever it is. You can insert a lot of these clips to help with your editing process going forward. All right, so let's talk about that. So we went to what do you do? We talked about what customers you have. We talked about what problems you solve. We talked about the ideal customer. And now let's say, for example, that I find that person, right? So you're working with me. We talk a little bit about all these different things. I know what you do. I know who you're looking for. We fine tune the targeting. We're finding this ideal client that you're looking for. So the next question is, that's the idea, right? We got all these people lined up, ready to do work with you. The question is, what is your sales process? If I get somebody to, the attention to come your way, do you want them to buy directly online? Do you want them to book an appointment? Do you want them to make a phone call? Like, there is a process for what you're doing in your business, and I need to know that process. So you're going to tell me a little bit about your sales process. The cool thing about doing this as an interview is everybody's sales process is a little bit different. Some people start with a consultation. Some people just sell their time initially. Some people are doing, where you get 100 people to jump on a Zoom call and you do an entire presentation. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Holy moly. What up, Ham?
Hey, you're 20 minutes into this. I thought you were like just getting started.
Nah. And your mic's not on, by the way.
Oh,
Gotta-
it's not. Thanks. I got you.
Nice, dude. I was telling I was finishing through this last little process. We're talking about the sales process on these clips on everything that I'm working through. And I already let people know. I was like, Ham might not be along with me very much, but he'll hop in from time to time, and
here I is.
and here you is.
Yeah. It's been fun to let people know what's going on. You can see my background is a little bit different. That's because I'm in bed. So I am essentially I've been put on something close to bed rest, and so it's been
because you're a crazy psycho, right? So look at James has had some back issues, right? And it was getting better, and he's pretty much like a Superman. The man ran a marathon, 26 miles,
26.2.
26.2,
but I ended up with a stress fracture in my L4, L5 something spine. I don't know. I have a stress fracture in my spine, and so pain management has been the name of the game for the past couple of weeks.
And that's tough, dude. That is one of the toughest things to do, ladies and gentlemen. Living in pain, and trying to have like a positive attitude and things. Because let's face it, like James and I, we're pretty positive ass people. Like it takes a lot to knock us down. And not that he's negative right now, but it's a lot more difficult to do pretty much anything when you're in this type of situation.
Basically, which includes writing intros and, being super energetic and pumped. It's like, I don't have the energy for all that right now. However, I did want to pop in here and let the audience know that for those of you that are signing up for premium spots on the Business Bros Pod, you will get an intro.
Ooh.
You will get a fire intro. I didn't even tell you about that yet, but
no, you didn't.
But I want to make sure.
That's
what?
money.
That's money. Oh, nice GIF. I like it. That's
Oh,
a new one.
That's a new one.
Nice. That's dope. That's dope. This is what I love. You are gonna keep going. You are.
Oh, I'm not.
You are the motivation man.
So what did you miss so far? So this is what you missed, by the way. We're talking about podcasting like a pro. So I started off with a little bit of background on how we got into this space. And I talked a little bit about how we entered into the digital age, adding a lot of these graphics, a lot of the GIF files, a lot of the sound, all those different things.
All the fun stuff.
And how we can insert clips. And so I had just done this clip. That's dope, huh? So I was talking about the sales process. And basically, I had laid out the interview questions or the style of interview questions and why we're using these segment pieces. And so we're using talking about the sales process, understanding that piece. And now, as we work through these different things and I understand your sales process, now I know how not only to get your ideal customer in front of you, but what the steps are going to be so that I can anticipate things. And not just that, one of the things you do, if you do become a client of ours, and I've been pondering this, Ham, and I haven't decided if I was going to do this or not, because for those of you who don't know, I teach part-time right now in high school anyways. And our district passed a vaccine mandate, which requires me to get vaccinated. And I'm not, which means I might not be teaching after February 1st, which sucks. But
crazy.
Means I got to go full force on this thing. And so one of the things I was going to do that opened up, if you're one of my clients, I was thinking of opening a podcast spot, just a podcast spot for the calendar just for existing clients. And I was thinking of calling it the client hour, where clients can come in and literally hold me accountable to whatever it is that we talked about. So it's almost, they don't have to do it live. They can just schedule an appointment and talk to me and we will go through their stuff. But every once in a while, it's cool to be live. So for people to see the ups and downs of working with clients, and not everything is perfect. It doesn't all go smoothly every single time. Every time there's a problem or hiccup, we work to fix it, systematize it, process, right? And that's the thing about your sales process as we're describing, as I'm interviewing the client, It's to nitpick at these things. What happens if the client texts you? Do you have a way to text them back? What happens if the client sends you an email? Do you have an email sequence, a text sequence to go into your sales process? All those things that we add to our clients when they come and advertise with us. But do you have that set in place? No?
You're talking
Yes?
automations and stuff?
Automations and all those things, right?
Hell yeah.
So your sales process is absolutely vitally important, which brings me to the next part.
Me? I'm giving away free money.
What are your promos and giveaways, baby? You know I had to use that Joker clip, dude. You know I had to use it.
Eventually. I
Me?
love it.
I'm giving away free money. No, look, you're in business. You have a lead magnet. That's really what it is. You're giving something of value away so that you can collect emails, phone numbers, schedule appointments, whatever it's going to be. What kinds of promos and giveaways do you have? And that's a section that we want to make sure we put not only on the show because it's cool for our audience to be able to get some of those products, some of those promos and giveaways and take advantage of those things and meet with you and be a customer of yours or a client of yours. But at the same time, this question that I'm asking you, when I get this segment piece in an interview, I'm getting it because I'm going to use it when we create your landing page. Because here's the bottom line. I want more advertising clients. I want more testimonial clients. So in order for me to do that, I need to provide something of value. So I'm working on a process. This is part of my process. The way we do an interview is part of my process. But the other part of the process is I want to call you back in a week or so and tell you, look, here's my sales funnel that I created for your business. Here's the landing page. Here's the email sequence. Here's the text campaign. My only question to you after that is going to be, do you want me to turn it on? Right?
Nice.
And in talking to a lot of different marketers, I mean, there's a lot of people that we talk to, especially after the Billie Jean thing, and in figuring out who I wanted to work with as far as this paid ads type thing. And a lot of them had the same question. When they meet with a client, oftentimes clients just don't have content. They just don't. Many of them don't create stuff at scale. Maybe they have a logo, maybe they have a promo video, and that's about it for the most part. So my interview process gives marketers the content that you need to create a sales funnel, to create a campaign that turns your interview into customers.
Not just
Interviews
the
into
interview,
customers.
not just the interview, but the testimonials too.
The testimonials is a whole other ballgame. That's a whole other thing, another type of content that we could use. So what promos and giveaways do you have? And then lastly, of course,
Hello to my little friend.
how can we get a hold of you, man? How can I get a hold of you? How can I say hello to your little friend? Like, I want to know if a customer comes to me and says, hey, that guest that you had on the show, they were awesome. I want to work with them. I don't know how to get a hold of them. So this is definitely a question that we want to do. And this question does a couple things, right? So yes, the guest who comes on the show is going to tell me about how they can get a hold of them. Yeah, go to my website, blah, 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 blah. But really what it is I am recording call to actions that I can use over and over and over again, right? So if you tell me, hey, if you want to get a video testimonial, make sure you go to businessbros.biz, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, or make sure you click on the link, or give us a call at. All those things are call to actions, and I can use those when I'm creating your funnels. Now it's there, right? And I can use those when I'm creating your funnels, when I'm creating your content, because at the end of the day, most people are bombarded by marketing material all day long, and you literally have to guide them and tell them what to do next, right? So you watch my episode, great. What I want you to do next is go to www.businessbros.biz, click on the link that says more customers, and start schedule an appointment with me today. Like, that is a call to action. How do I get a hold of you? That is the segment where I'm getting the clips necessary to tell your client, your ideal customer, how to get a hold of you, what to do, what is that next step. Now, I love to ask those questions. I get deep into the questions that I'm asking, and then I get to know the client. I get to know their business, their sales process. So the last thing I will do on every episode,
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
That's it. Right? So once I know everything about you, I'm going to make a pitch as if I was selling your product or service. Why? Because who knows? Hopefully you have an affiliate program. And if I can sell more of your product or service, maybe that'll be something that we can do together. And if not, at least I have a pitch that I could use as a clip or something that I can create for your sales funnel where I'm getting somebody to come and buy your product or service. So in a nutshell, that is the way we're going to run the show going forward. I mean, that's the process. It gives us the guides. Remember, the clips are there twofold. One is so that the guest is aware of what's coming next. But two, in post edit, now your editor doesn't have to look for a bunch or wait and listen to the whole thing. They can go from clip to clip and really segment down the piece of content that we've created. And at the end, hopefully my goal here is to take an episode that we recorded for a client, for, our guests that come on the show. Because again, like I told you at the beginning, the reason why our guests are coming on the show is because they want more exposure to get more customers. 95% of the guests who come on the show, that's what it's for. I want more customers. I want more exposure. And that's what we're going to do to help them get there. So how do you podcast like a pro? Hopefully you guys learned a lot from today's episode. As always, if you need any help, you guys can follow me at Business Bros Pod. Send me a DM, send me a question. We actually have a Facebook group. It's not very big. It's kind of small, but we do post some stuff there from time to time. It is called Podcast Like a Pro. Make sure you drop in there. Ask any questions you want. Feel free to promote your own podcast. Tell me what you're doing, what you're up to, what you're trying, what new platforms you got going on out there. And we're always posting stuff in as far as our episodes in there, trying to help you get better at podcasting. Because remember, not everybody's going to be the next Joe Rogan, but you don't have to have millions of downloads to make your business or your podcast monetized and profitable. You can use the systems that you have in place. This is a prospecting tool for us. It's been that way. It's helped us build our network, and you can build a podcast to do the same thing. Don't worry. Fame, fortune, it can come your way if that's your end destination. But if you're in business and you don't have content, podcasting is the best way to go. It's the way I know how to help people, and I'll teach you how to podcast like a pro. Ladies and gents, we'll see you guys again.
Wait. For the first one of 2022, welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Couldn't let you start the year out without getting that out.
That's right. All right, ladies and gents. Peace. We'll see you guys again mañana when the interviews begin again.
Woo-woo.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation, or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.